Welcome to Backstabbers, the only podcast where we're not just sticking needles in your back, we're talking behind it too. All right, what up, Backstabbers?
Hey,
What how y'all doing? All right, coming to you with, let's see here, Sarah, Lacey, and Alex. I'm going left to right. No clue what it'll be like on the actual
It's
recording.
Almost youngest to oldest.
Almost.
Left to right. Almost. If that's where we were going to start off.
That's where we're going. Okay, so
Yeah.
I have a question. Have you guys been okay, and I don't know who has TikTok and who doesn't, but I'm sure you can get it on other platforms. Have you been keeping up with the Bad Bobby, and I'm doing a terrible job at that name, and Alabama Barker feud?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Same.
Okay, I can't wait. Okay, here we go. So
Wait, I want to pause and
Yes.
point out, I love that it's you who knows what's going on
yeah, the old hoe
the short.
knows what's going on. That's right.
Yeah, she is.
That's right.
Okay,
Because I have young friends. They're keeping me cool. Okay, so
Not these young friends. Clearly.
your daughters.
Bad Bobby is a rapper.
Okay.
Who Sarah, you'll remember. Alex, you might remember. Do you guys remember? Oh, and I'm already throwing things. Do you remember the girl on Dr. Phil who was the Catch Me Outside girl? Catch Me Outside. How about that?
No.
No.
I know
No.
who Dr. Phil is, but
She was
I'm
like
proud of you, Alex.
like a 2000s phenomenon. She was this girl, she was like 13, and her mom had her on Dr. Phil because she wanted her out of her house because she was so much trouble. And she literally is like calling out the people in the audience and telling them how terrible they are, and tells, I don't remember if it was to the mom or to Dr. Phil or to the audience. I don't remember who it was directed to, but it was basically like, catch me outside. How about that? And he was like, I don't know what that means, because he's the whitest person ever. And she
Couldn't be
said,
whiter.
he was like, does that mean you want to fight? And she's like, yeah, catch me outside. You don't remember this? Nothing?
Mm-mm. Nothing.
Okay. Well, that girl has grown up and is now a rapper and gets paid a lot of money, I will say.
Of course she is.
I want to say her annually, she brings in like 50 million. Don't quote me on that, but it's a
Of course she
lot.
is.
Now, some of it's OnlyFans, some of it's her social media
Oh.
stuff, some of it is rap and partnerships and that sort of stuff.
Well,
Okay. Now then, let's fast forward to the other part of the feud is Alabama Barker. Do you know who I'm
Like
talking about
Travis
there?
Barker's
Travis
daughter?
Barker's daughter. So
Okay.
Travis Barker was married to the beauty queen girl, Shannon Moakler.
Yes. Shannon.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And they had a daughter. They had two kids. One's a son, and we'll talk about him in a second. And one is a daughter. And Alabama has just turned like 19, 20 years old. She's young.
okay.
So apparently these two used to be friends. I guess, allegedly, Bama slept with the baby daddy of Bad Bobby, Danielle. That's her real name. Let's just go with that. I can actually say that and not sound like a
So
white girl.
Danielle has a kid.
Danielle has a kid with some guy. I don't know his real name, but they call him LV.
Okay.
And they have a baby together. And I guess Alabama decided he looked like a good time. And so the feud ensues. I personally don't think he looks like someone we should fight over, but to each their own.
That's usually the one getting it.
Uh-huh. So they have a feud, and they both have put out diss tracks about the other, which I'm going to need y'all to listen to because they are amazing. I'll send you some.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's like a Drake.
Oh, it is. So I don't
What's
know.
his name, feud?
I don't know the full ethnicity of Danielle. I'm going to guess she's a little closer to Alex's side of the
Okay.
world, but I don't know. Alabama is definitely a white girl.
Okay.
Her parents are both very white. Her mom was a beauty queen. Her dad was in a rock band, so I'll give her that street cred.
Yeah. Okay.
But she grew up in Calabasas. Like
Yeah.
we're not.
It's Blink 182.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to be nice here, but in the second diss track of Bad Bobby is, I mean, she goes hardcore, and it's kind of like the halftime show where I didn't get most of it. Like when I just watched it the first time, I was like, I mean, it's clever, but I'm not getting most of it. Well, then when
Yeah.
you read the words, like the lyrics, because it's hard to hear, when you read the lyrics and when you catch some of the other symbolism that I didn't know, It's really funny. She's actually very smart. So she has a drummer in there that looks like Travis
Travis. And does she
playing
like sleep
Oh.
with him
playing
or
the
like
drums. Like the beanie, and he's shirtless and he's tatted up.
tat it up? Yeah.
Yeah, the whole nine. And I guess because I don't follow these people really on social media until
Uh-huh.
now for the feud, I guess all Alabama does is put on makeup. And so, like, I kept noticing something was weird with Danielle's face. Well, she only had one set of lashes on, and it was like a play at all she does on camera is put on makeup. Anyway, people are now calling her Arkansas. They've redone her, like her Wikipedia, because there's a line in the song about something about you slept with so many, allegedly you slept with so many NFL players that they put you on the team. Well, then they changed
How
the
have I not heard
Wikipedia.
about this?
Her Wikipedia, they now have put that, like, it says all these things, like who her parents are, and she's a social media personality, da, da, and then it says NFL team member.
Are they going for it?
Oh, it is amazing. I have been living for it. It is, and
Oh.
what's even better is all of the TikTok people who are like myself, who are like, I have no business being in on this feud. I
Right.
am the wrong ethnicity. I am too old. I am all of these things, but I am here for it.
Oh, I'll
Meanwhile,
have to check this out.
her brother, because this is all in the same house. Meanwhile, her brother is in a bathroom. You know, it's a giant house, but somewhere while this is all happening, and she's like live streaming and doing all these videos and diss tracks and all these things. The brother, and I can't remember his name, something Barker. He is on like continuum recording himself singing The Fray and like the whitest song ever. He does have on a leather jacket usually most of the time, but it's amazing. I'm gonna need y'all to check it
will
out.
investigate.
And,
Is
and report
Kourtney
back.
Kardashian weighing in on any of this? Is she
So they
gonna
have
she's-
not done much. That is one thing, though. I guess, and oh, let me get this right. I think Danielle, aka Bad Bobby, had like used AI somehow, some Kanye stuff. So then Ye had to come out and be like, FYI, I am not a part of this. I got no beef here.
It's the sanest thing he's ever said.
It's a whole thing, and I'm gonna need y'all to go down this rabbit hole with me.
Okay.
Kourtney can't go like say anything because Kourtney has her own thing to deal with because apparently her 14-year-old just got accused of fathering a child.
So that is one of the things that's out there is they're like, you know, Chris is a genius, and this could be that she's like, all right, Bama, you're up. We need some distractions. While we cover
part
up.
of this. You're part of this new.
Yeah.
That's I can see where that would be a distraction.
You see what I'm saying? Oh, because
it
I
does
mean,
have
it
Kris
is.
Jenner all over it.
If you Google Alabama, or I bet if you just Googled Alabama, you wouldn't get the state information. You would get the fight with.
I was about to
with
say,
this
let's
chick.
just.
It's
so
amazing.
Kourtney's,
Yeah.
what's that one?
Alabama Barker's
Mason?
number 2.
Yes.
Okay.
So I told you. I will
Oh
say
wow, that's
when
what she
you
looks like.
when you listen to, well, she's changed a lot in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get your plastic surgeries.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's good. I'm gonna need y'all to listen to it.
The big bad feud between Bad Bobby. Oh, it's Bobby like Barbie, but Bobby.
That Bobby.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Bad Bobby.
This is like me reading Dr. Seuss today at my child's
That's
school.
what- that's
Trying to
freaking-
pronounce these crazy words. I'm like,
See, that's why my husband didn't want to read at Everly's class. He was like, I'm not smart enough. I'm like, yes, you are. You're a doctor.
The ER doctor is in.
I was
I
like,
see
you can't
you.
read this book. We have an issue.
Oh, that's
well,
funny.
no, I get it. Trying to say
It's
these.
Dr. Seuss. Everly came home yesterday and argued with me because it's Dr. Seuss week.
Week.
Mhm.
And she said that there was a medical condition. If you read the book too fast, your tongue actually gets tied and you have to go to the
Oh,
hospital.
it's
I'm
a
like,
real tongue
that's in,
twister.
I was like, that's in a book, yes, but that's not a real thing. She was like, it is. They told us at school today. It's real. You have to go to the. I forgot how she says it. Hospital, or I don't know. I'm never gonna correct it because it's cute.
Oh no, I don't ever correct them. I love
I
it when
can't.
they say things
He
wrong.
says he tries to correct her sometimes. I'm like, please don't. I love this so much. It's my favorite.
And she'll do it on her own.
Yes.
No, she
And
will
if she
fix it.
doesn't,
She won't
people
be
will make fun
30
of her
and
until
still
she
saying
does
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Aw.
But
are
speaking of that feud, and then we're
Okay.
right on the heels of the nurse that got the crap
Oh
beat out
God.
of her.
Has
Mhm.
anybody heard how she's doing?
I saw a picture several days ago where she was better, but still had a lot to go.
So if anybody hasn't heard, we're talking about the nurse that literally somebody 3 times her size got up and just started wailing on her face, and he broke almost every bone in her face, I believe. Did she end up losing her eyes?
I don't know. I'm not gonna
It's
lie. I've been on
questionable.
the TikTok battle, and I
Yeah.
have not paid the nurse enough attention. That
Yeah.
is my
Well,
bad.
because I haven't heard about that either, whether she was going to lose her both of her
Yeah.
eyes, or even if she only kept one, if she was going to have eyesight in it. But so we were going to talk
Which
about
is
violence
mildly
in healthcare.
important for a
Yeah.
nurse is to be able to see.
Well, she'll have to be on
Yeah.
disability. I mean, it'll
Yeah.
be.
So I read a statistic in preparation for this, and then I feel like,
Okay.
Sarah, this is going to be more your wheelhouse. Maybe some of Alex. I don't really have any stories with violence in my locked ICU. But 13, okay, nurses are particularly at risk. I just Googled like healthcare violence statistics. Nurses are particularly at risk with an incident rate of 13 physical assaults per 100 nurses per year.
That is so
13%?
high.
Oh,
That
it
is
That's
doesn't
so
surprise me at
crazy.
high.
all. Yeah, working in
Wow.
the ER, it was a normal thing. Like, I got assaulted. I can't even tell you how many times. It was rare to go a week without getting some form of, because there were so many violent people, and if they weren't psychiatric violence, they were angry or they were
Yeah.
drunk, or so many people come in high. I only had once where I filed a police report, and it was because my boss actually made me, because I don't know how many people he had assaulted before me, but he like came running out of his room and he shoved me up against the wall and pushed me, and I fell, and then he like kind of jumped on top of me, and one of the ER docs, who is what was he? Like a Black Hawk Down kind of guy. He like twisted him up, and he like twisted him up by his pinky, and he's the nicest man ever. But I will never forget. I was laid on the floor beside him, and I stood up, and he's got him twisted up by his pinky, and he's like, "Sir, we do not treat women like that, do we? That was not nice." And I got in his face, and I was like, "Yeah,
What he said.
But one of the things that's so hard, which the police deal with these people all the time, and so I get it, but they treated me so horribly. Like, they were so irritated
Really?
that I was giving my statement and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, "I'm so sorry they're making me do this. I've been assaulted many a times, but I've never." And
It's just
this
such a
was
Well,
back
it's
burden.
when
not
we
okay
could.
for a patient to be on top of you. Let's start there.
No.
That's
Never.
never acceptable.
And I'm
Never.
sorry, like, drugs is not if you make the choice in your life to use drugs and you assault someone, then you have made the choice to not know what you're doing all the time, and you should be
Right.
held accountable.
I
And that they
agree.
come in all drugged up is not my fault, or
Mm-mm.
drunk, not my fault. You made that
Yeah.
decision to get to that point. You should always be held accountable for your actions. I'm not
I
saying it
agree.
was premeditated, which is different to me,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I should not be afraid when I'm taking care of you that you're going to come back and hit me, or even verbally. We get verbally assaulted constantly
Yeah.
I've spit
in
on.
healthcare.
I've been spit
Mhm.
on, which it's hard to say too, because the unit where I worked was neurotrauma. So, there might
Yeah.
actually be frontal injuries, frontal lobe injuries, and they don't actually know what they're doing, which is more excusable. But the way I was treated by family members and people, like, it's just astounding to me what, I mean, what people think or what they think we're there for. It's just a really,
Well,
it
everyone thinks we're
baffles
there to
me.
serve
Yeah.
Mhm.
at
I
any
did have
cost.
one, I'd kind of forgotten about it. I did have one time when I was working in the unit, and I got assigned a patient that was there and had been violent while he was there. And I want to say he didn't have like a one-on-one sitter because it was the unit, and he wasn't handcuffed or anything, but he'd already been violent while he was there, while we just let him. Anyway, the charge nurse, who was a male, assigned him to me. And I was like, well, this seems inappropriate. Like, the smallest person here, you're going to give the violent person to? That's fine.
Mhm.
I'll take him, but I am not entering the room without someone else in
By
there.
myself. Mhm.
because I mean, this was a long time ago. I didn't have one of those little buttons that you could hit.
Oh yeah,
And
no.
even with those, it takes time for someone
To show up.
to get there,
Yeah.
you know? So I wouldn't, if he needed me, I'd go and stand literally at the door because we had the sliding glass doors. I'd be like, as soon as someone else can come with me, we'll be in there.
Yeah, no, I had, and we're not allowed to defend ourselves either. We're supposed to do all this de-escalation stuff that doesn't work because I've dealt with all of those things and done all those
Mhm.
things and it never works. I will say when you have security rushing towards like a psych patient or somebody that's out of control, it just puts them on the defense. And
Yeah.
I do better one-on-one if I can talk them down. But I had one girl and she was she was tiny. My husband tells me I would get fired all the time now if I worked in the ER, but that girl came at me like she was on nothing. Keep in mind, she came at me like a spider monkey off of that bed, and I just boom. I was like, "Not today." I mean, I'm like, "Don't you come at me."
But sometimes
Okay?
it's a reflex. Like, you didn't
Oh, it
think
was. It was
I mean, it
100%.
was just someone's
Absolutely.
coming at you.
I think it was my third 16 in a row. I was hungry.
Mm-mm.
I hadn't peed in like 4 days.
Mm-mm.
Nobody ever fed us lunch. I'm like, don't mess with me.
Mm-mm.
But that's why I don't work in the ER anymore.
Amen.
Because I would get fired because I don't hold
Yeah.
my tongue well.
I mean, I will say now for us, probably the highest risk is we'll have those that are like, I sometimes wake up crazy when I'm waking up, but ours is more of a controlled. Usually we have a couple of people who are standing there at the bedside who can help us. It's not a one-on-one situation. And I have
And we usually have IV access. We can
ready
put you back
access
down.
to,
Mhm.
I
To-
can
And we
paralyze your
do.
butt again if I need to. Yeah.
We will put you back down.
Yeah.
Safely, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, one of
safely.
our
I
old
mean,
guys always told the story about giving just like a little background paralytic and being like, we're not going to act like that. See how this sucks? See how you don't like this feeling? See how you feel helpless? Now I'm going to help you breathe and you're going to be nice when you can move again.
Talk about things that are illegal today. Like,
Amen.
you
gosh.
get away with that.
No, never. I hear their
No.
Oh my
stories and I'm
gosh.
like, oh, those were the good old days.
Those
You
were the
can never do
days.
that now.
Yeah.
I worked with a trauma surgeon yeah. If you spit at the staff, swung at the staff, or anything, he gave you 3 chances. And after that, he's like, I'm going to intubate you with sucks alone. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
it's not going to be fun, but you have alcohol on board. So you are sedated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And dead gummit, if they didn't do it, he would, he would do it. And I'd be there like going, yeah, oh.
Mhm.
Now we put them on a profile drip quickly, but I mean, it's just completely uncalled for. And
Yeah.
if you have chosen substances, that is on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's
I
the
will
wrong
say,
opinion, but
I did. Have either of you ever worked at the VA?
mm-mm.
No.
I did I didn't work there, but I did like my last little bit of nursing where you're doing like a clinical training and you're not really doing any schooling. It's just all working in a unit for free. I worked at the ICU in a VA, and the thing I liked about it is they had federal police that wasn't just hospital security. It was federal police. And if you did anything that if they did anything that you didn't like, you could call those federal police up and they'd come up with a ticket or a whatever, and they could do whatever they wanted, which was amazing. We had one old vet, which, I loved vets. I could work at a VA anytime. They, best stories ever. But I had one old vet that kept smoking in his bathroom and setting off the fire alarm.
Fire alarm.
And finally, after like the third time, anyway, the police came up and they're like, we will give you a ticket and you will have to go do XYZ. We'll take you outside if you want to smoke. At this point, we don't care. Please quit
Yeah.
setting off the fire alarm.
Right. At this
Dead
point,
gummit,
we're
Gerald. When you're
Yeah.
going in there to poop, just poop. Okay?
Yeah.
That's what that's up. I remember it's crazy when vaping came out, they would let
Mhm.
them vape in the ER rooms. It was because nobody knew yet. I mean, like, so
Yeah.
people were in there vaping, and I'm like, oh, congratulations, you're one step closer to quitting. I mean, like,
Mhm.
looking back, it's
Mm-mm.
so hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
We need to do a whole episode on vaping and how terrible it is for your lungs and
I
what we
cannot.
see,
I would
because
argue
Cannot.
it's worse.
it
than
is so much worse than smoking. I'd rather you
Mhm.
smoke any day.
Mhm.
I mean, I have a family member that is a residual, only did it for a couple years, but that has a residual cough constantly. Doesn't believe me that it's
Yeah.
because of the vaping. They think they constantly are sick. And I'm like, no, it is the vaping.
Well, because some of them come from other countries. I'm going to try to be real PC here. And they're not thermoregulated, is my understanding.
Hmm.
And so it literally, when you go to inhale, it has like some heating mechanism and it's literally like burning
Mhm.
your lungs as well as whatever substance is in it.
Coating it with the
Yeah.
Well, and when it's
Yeah.
coming from other countries with no regulations, you
don't
don't know
know.
what you're smoking.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
And they don't like us. So if they can get to us, they probably will. So
Yeah.
just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
But
man, it makes your lungs very angry.
yeah, it does. But almost as angry as most of the patients. I have had I had one VA patient that got referred to us one time for colonoscopy, and he told me, he was a big old guy, and he was like, and I love when they tell us up front, because the ones that don't tell us up front, and they're like, oh yeah, I do wake up crazy, I forgot to tell you, I don't really
Mhm.
appreciate it. But he told me, he goes, listen, if you let me wake up staring into my wife's eyes, I will do just fine. If she is not there, you better watch out. Like, I've hurt people. I will think I'm in
Wow.
combat. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to
He's
bring her
telling
back
you.
here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said, so we're
100%.
going to do things differently. And like, sometimes people tell you things and you're like, okay, all right. But this one, I was like,
I believe
we're
him.
going to bring her back here. So we
Yeah.
did the procedure. I kept him super sleepy. I brought her back.
Mhm.
And as soon as he woke up, he looked the other way first and he just
Mhm.
started going crazy. And then she grabbed him and like grabbed his head. And anyways, it was like magic.
That's
He was
awesome.
fine as he continued to wake up, and she just held his
Also,
head. And she was
was
like, I've
she
got you.
terrifying too, or was it like a
No,
sweet
she was super sweet
'Cause I'm
and
like,
precious.
that could go either way.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just went on and I took him to recovery, and I was like, I just want to thank y'all so much for being
Yeah.
honest with us. Like, I
Yeah.
know. And she goes, you're the first person that has listened to us. And they've
Mhm.
always had to put him back down. And I think we do get in a routine sometimes
Mhm.
of being like, oh, we're going to do our own thing. We can win. But I mean,
Mhm.
if they're honestly telling us, this is
Yeah.
what you need to do. And
Yeah.
I was like, what's the worst thing if she comes in there and he's waking up? Now, if he
And
got
if
violent, I would have
Yeah.
her escorted out and do what I needed to do. But
Yeah. As long
walked
as
like a
there's
charm.
a safe way to accommodate,
Yes.
Mhm.
I
And ours is really close together too. So it's not like she had to walk far from
Right.
pre-op to the room that we do the colonoscopy in. So
Yeah.
but because I've taken care of some of those crazy ones. It's like riding a
Mhm.
bull.
Yeah.
Oh, it was one of the other providers I walked in to help as they were waking up, and it was a guy that had been in prison, and you could tell by the things he was yelling that bad things had happened to him in prison.
Mhm.
And as soon as he started thrashing, he had 2 IVs, pulled both of them out. We
Mhm.
couldn't eat. There were 8 people on him. We couldn't even get an IM shot because he was thrashing around so much. We finally got it to where we could give him an IM shot. And then I started an IV real quick and slammed some propofol and put him back down. But it can
Yeah.
be super dangerous for
Yeah.
sure.
It is funny how I think we do get kind of lax because we get used to resetting people. Because I do think that, like, if they start waking up a little crazy and they haven't lost an IV, you can give another little slug of propofol, and something about that second wake up usually
More calm.
goes
Mhm.
better.
Getting some of that gas off, just waking up on the
Mhm.
propofol. It's that poison we
Yeah.
use.
Well, and it's wild too because even I mean, just recently my son had his ear tubes done, and obviously it's a child who is nonverbal yet, and
Mhm.
but watching him wake up crazy, and I did not expect that from him at all, from just being gassed down. But so it's not a personal thing. We know that too.
Mhm.
It's an involuntary response, and
Yeah.
you're disoriented and you're coming to, and so we
Yeah.
know that and recognize it, but also we got to keep ourselves safe and the
Mhm.
staff safe, and it's
Well,
just
and that's what parents are funny because they're like, oh, they're usually so sweet, I swear. I'm like, I do not doubt that your kid is a precious little angel.
Yeah.
This stuff does things and they like when they wake
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I always tell the parents, I was like, they won't be your kid for a good 30 minutes to an hour. When you
Yeah.
see them, they will go back to normal, but it's going to take a minute.
yeah.
And those
And
ear
your
tube kids,
normal
man, they're
things.
cranky for a solid 8 hours after they get tubes.
And we've
that
tried
cast
like
does
some, because we don't put IVs in those. We've tried like some nasal fentanyl or Presidex, but we've definitely tried some different things. And I don't know that I appreciate a big difference in outcome.
Yeah.
No,
I think
and
sometimes we
we
win
don't
and
have
sometimes we
follow up
lose.
all the time.
I can't figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I've been nervous to do intranasal Presidex ever since Alex told me what happened at her old center.
Yeah. I haven't
I'd be
done it.
curious if anybody has had that. Alex, tell them what happened and
Well, we were doing intranasal, and there were some factors. We were probably not using a proper aerosolizer attachment to the
Mhm.
end,
that
and
does make a difference.
also the Presidex we were using the appropriate dosage. It's just it was a more concentrated form, so we could have either diluted it or
Mhm.
used a lesser concentrated thing, but it was dripping back down, and their uvulas were becoming necrotic. We had several, and it was just at that facility. So we were covering multiple facilities, and it was just that one that we were doing that at, and it was those people that were calling back and saying that was happening, which honestly nothing bad comes from that.
I was going to say, did y'all have
But-
to surgically do anything? Did they?
Mm-mm.
No.
They were all just falling off, right?
Mhm.
Well, got a little uvuloplasty there.
Yeah.
Free of charge, you're welcome.
Jeez.
No, I'd be interested to see if I bet the aerosolizing attachment would make a big difference since you wouldn't
Yeah.
get those big old drops of
Mhm.
straight Presidex. But that'd be interesting.
Mhm.
I'd be
Yeah.
curious if anybody listening has
Yeah.
had that issue before
And
or heard of it.
that happened.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I love me some Presidex otherwise. I have not tried it yet because it has not been fully approved, but I would really like to try Presidex in my spinals.
Oh, yeah. I would
A
be
lot of
interested
places
too.
do it.
A lot of places are doing it,
Mhm.
and they love the results.
Yeah.
So,
All right, we need a word of the week.
word of the week.
Word of the week.
Let's do
violence.
something.
Safe word.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. What's going to be our safe word, ladies?
Can you say cooter in a room?
No.
No. Okay.
No, sir.
I was going to say cooter punch. That sounds violent, but
Yeah, I think that's going to
Yeah.
get vetoed.
ooh, dirty pop.
Dirty
When
pop.
I worked in the ER, I can't remember if I was telling this to Alex last week at work. When I used to work in the ER, they, of course, different time, we'd all get fired, but they used to walk by and punch us in the hoo-ha area, and then they'd pull our pants down, and we called it dirty pop.
That was me, you told, and I was horrified.
Yeah, I didn't do the pants part, but I did punch people. I'm gonna be really honest. It's like when a guy taps them in
I see what you're saying.
This was just girl on girl.
This is just girl on girl. I mean, let's be real. I also was
like all men enjoy. Yeah.
I'd go give a nut tap every now and then too, just because they'd be right in on it too. They'd walk by and just punch you, and I'd be like, I will get you back, and it probably will hurt worse. Again, different time.
Wild west of the ER.
Yeah, back when it was good.
Yeah. All right, so dirty pop, is that what we're gonna go
Dirty
with?
pop.
I like
That's
it. It's clever. It kind of plays off of our violence. Stay
Yeah.
safe out there, folks. That's the moral of that
Listen,
story.
If you need, you dirty pop into the ground, and then you take care of business. Okay. It is the word of the week and a safety measure. You're welcome ahead of time.
No de-escalating needed.
Yeah,
Please do
we
not take
won't.
any of this advice.
I'm just trying to help.
That's funny.
Oh, goodness.
Nail check.
Oh, mine's
Good
different
call.
this week.
Mine blank.
Oh,
Oh, yours are cute.
Those are cute.
Oh.
I just let my girl do what she wanted. She was like, "What are you feeling?" I was like, "I don't know. Here's my Pinterest because
I
I'm
not
old.
think.
Here's my Pinterest. Pick out what you want. Do whatever you want. I don't care. I don't want to make decisions. That's where I'm
just
at in
proud
life."
Alex doesn't have like a half of one on 3 nails.
Well,
Excited about
we
it.
still got some jagged edges, but
I did. Somebody asked me last week. They were like, "Why don't you have cuticles? Like, where are your cuticles?" I'm like, "Oh, I obsessively get rid of them. I make myself bleed on the daily."
have you seen those new manicures that they're doing, and they're like getting rid of the cuticle, like they're pushing it way back.
Mm.
It's
That
called
sounds like
something.
an infection waiting to happen.
Yeah, that sounds
But
angry.
I don't know how it doesn't hurt.
I think
Well,
it
I bet
does.
it does. I worked with a hand surgeon at my last hospital, and if he saw you got your nails done, he would be on top of you. He would not allow his PA to get her nails done because he was like, "You see that? That cuticle is a protective barrier. All of you are an
Oh.
infection risk waiting to happen."
I
I'm like,
mean,
yeah.
that's probably not wrong.
Yeah.
I
He probably
mean,
knows something.
he also looked like he chewed on his, so.
Pick your battles,
But
people. And
I
I need
know,
some
you
things
gotta
to
pick
make
your
me
battles.
happy in life.
I gotta look pretty
Right.
somehow. I mean, clearly this isn't the way. You know. Okay.
All right, backstabbers out.
Backstabbers out.
Bye. All right, Jesus wants y'all to be quiet. Bye, y'all.
Be quiet. Backstabbers out.
Bye.